So if you watched my last What Is This Idiot Doing, you would have seen me put a controller in that computer case right there. And I got done with it and everything worked. And I went to go put it in that cabinet right there and it wouldn't fit. So yeah, I'm an idiot. I even cut the feet off the bottom of the case and it just would not fit in that opening. So I took all the components out and rebuilt the controller that was in there to help clean it up and get it more functional. So yeah, in that situation, in that scenario, I was the idiot because I didn't test where I wanted that computer to go first. So now I have an empty case again. Maybe later I can rebuild it. But in this episode, I wanted to go over the router. So I've got a little Chinese 6040 router, which I got as a frame only and put my own electronics and stepper motors and wiring on it, along with that wonderful Urgra spindle. And then, as I used it, it made a mess all over the floor, behind the cabinet that it is sitting on, so I decided to build an enclosure for it. And I did a bit of research, looked to see what other people were doing. And what I found most of the time was they either had an opening on the front or they had an opening on the side. Well, with where this is located in between that machine and that machine, I needed to have access to both sides. So just to go over a few features of this enclosure that I made this side, which is stained red. It opens, and it is a very tight fit. You can see the red mark where I would open it, and it would rub right up against that door. And it clears my mill handle right here, just barely. So now I can get over here on this side and access the machine from this side, which helps in loading up material on the router bed. And plus, since it's in over here in the corner, I have the computer and monitor sitting up here on a shelf. But then I also made it to where I have this door in the front that I can open. And it stays up to where I can access the machine from the front as well. And here's one of my spoil boards. It needs to be replaced here soon. But halfway through building this, and it took about 4 days, and every day that I was building this stupid box, it would rain. So I had to do it all in my garage, and I made a huge mess. But that's neither here nor there. So as far as paint goes, when I started getting to the point where I was going to paint it, I got some orders in for some edge-lit LED signs. So I had to quickly get this thing back up in service. So it's only primer now. Maybe one day I will paint the box, actual paint. Maybe not. Who knows? We'll see. But another design feature is I made this trough on the side where the stepper motor hangs over. And that trough is basically so if I'm machining wood, metal, plastic, or whatever, I can sit out here with an air hose and blow it in that general direction. It'll hit the door and fall down and collect down inside here. Can also blow underneath the machine and get it to blow back, and then I can blow it into this trough. So that's what this trough is here for, is basically chip collection. Now I saw a bunch of DIY enclosures, and all it was a flat base under the machine, and it went straight out to here. So yes, there was a bit for chip collection there, but at least I have this option. I can also put my most used tools down there if need be, or what have you. But I just thought it was a great design because I have it sitting on this chest of drawers here, and it just hangs down over on that side. Another feature that I really like about this is if we look, you can see that this front face cabinet is higher than the bed. Well, if I need to put long pieces of material in there, so let me grab this piece of wood over here. And let me move my Sharpie marker. Probably should have planned this a little better. If I need to put that piece of material in there, it doesn't lay flat. So I made this where it will fold down. And I can have a piece of material hanging out of the cabinet, which I really like that. And I put magnetic stops on all the doors to help hold them closed. Another thing I did as far as lighting goes is a simple little socket up there. It runs to the back. I still need to do some wiring. And it runs to the back, and when I turn the entire system on, which I just have it all plugged into a power strip, I just turn the power strip on. The controller, 2 boxes come on. Then I have to turn the monitor comes on. I turn the PC on, let it boot up, and the light will come on. Now I had just a regular LED bulb because I want to keep the heat down. So these produce very little heat. And I had just a GE 760 lumens non-dimmable LED bulb in here, but it was a brownish color, kind of like sunlight, and I really didn't like it. And I happen to have these Philips programmable bulbs would actually sync up to if you have an Alexa or a Google voice assistant. I can actually say, Alexa, change router light to red.
Okay.
And there we go. It's red. Alexa, change router light to green.
Okay.
Alexa, change router light to white.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the most expensive piece of this entire build, is that light bulb. But I've got some MDF spoil boards here, and I made this to the size of the travel. And actually it's just a little bit bigger because when I surfaced it, I wrote the G code for a smaller tool and used a larger tool so I could actually get all 4 corners. Let's go ahead and get this out. The tool probe is set in a pocket. I've got all these hold downs to help hold it down and flat, and then I surface it off. This stupid mistake right here is what happens when you put an end mill in a collet and forget to cinch it down. It essentially, as it was trying to surface this off, the cutting forces were pulling the end mill out of the collet, and that's why it's so deep right through here. Not a big problem. It's just ugly to look at, but I don't care. Down over here, I have 3 more boards that I cut to this size so I can lay them up here, clamp them down, and actually have the machine go and cut all the pockets for me for the hold downs. And I've purchased 4 bags of these easy locks, which you machine a 13mm hole using an Allen wrench to thread these down in the holes, and then I can thread a bolt into the center of them. So that's the plan, is to lay a grid out. I'll probably do away with some of these because I don't think I need that many holding the spoil board down. See, another feature that I implemented, we're going to move over here, is since this is an air-cooled spindle, it's got a fan up here. My air conditioning system in this shop is just a little 110 unit, so inside here may get hot. So I actually cut a hole for a 120mm 110 volt fan that I have that I can screw up in there and actually force cooler air inside the box just to keep the spindle cool. Now up here we can see that I just did a quick wiring job to make sure that I could reach all 4 corners and get everything out of the way. I folded this little piece of aluminum so there's no chance in this cable getting pinched in here when I home it. So this actually just helps lift the cable up and out of the way. There's the trough. There's the front door that folds all the way down. Now the box itself is made out of MDF, which is why I wanted to at least get it in primer just to seal it. The top is ugly. It's just OSB, the same thing I made this countertop out of. And I did this because I know I'm going to be piling stuff up. Now my spindle VFD control is just sitting up here because I have to manually start it. It'll shut it off through a relay at the end of the program, but I have to manually start it and set it. So I was still trying to figure out where everything goes. We got a little drawer system up here for end mills to go in. I'm trying to think what else are the neat little features of this thing. The biggest thing is being able to get on this side and to get in the front and have access to the machine. The next plan is I'm going to take this setup with the enclosure and the toolbox and I'm going to slide it over. The air conditioner is behind those two doors, so I'm going to end up cutting the bottom part where the air conditioner is, take these doors off and cut this part off so I can move this box and overlap that and not have to worry about opening and closing these doors that just cover up the window that's there. I've got an MPEG on it, and one of the modifications I did to this pendant is right here used to be a momentary push button to where when you had to hold it down and select everything and use it that way while holding it down. If you let off, it would disable this. So I took that button out and I put a switch here, so if it's over on the left, this is disabled. I can do anything I want to with this and it's not going to do anything. But now if I switch it over to the right, I can set the knob on X and jog the machine. I can come over, change it to Y, and jog the machine. And I have the ability to go to 1 millimeter increments for every line that it takes. And we just crashed the machine. No big deal. So for every notch that I move it, it moves the axis 1 millimeter. Or we can go to 0.1 or 0.001. That's what those are for. And these are X, Y, Z. I have a rotary table, but it's not on here now. So we can go there. And I can program 5 and 6 to do either feed rate overrides. I have this thing hanging on a little bracket that I made. That'll hang right there. We have a really weak magnet back here, but I just epoxied in 2 magnets there. So when I stick this on there, it'll hold it. If I'm by the machine and it's crashing or something, I can simply press that button and we have e-stop button pressed and we're in a reset. So now if I come over here and I twist this out, it automatically clears the e-stop condition and I do not have to click the reset button in Mach 3. So that's one thing I like about that. This switch is probably the best thing I've ever done to this setup. Now the way this works is Modbus on a little USB card, and I've actually got that mounted up under the shelf that the monitor's sitting on so I can monitor power and the data transmission. So if this light's not flashing when I'm trying to use the actual pendant, then I know there's something wrong. So that's why I mounted it under there. We've simply got cables going out, holes there and there that were pre-drilled before I painted the box. I thought about drilling a hole right here for the stepper motor so the actual machine would slide back even further, but I like being able to get to here due to the fact that when I blow chips from under the machine, they will collect over here and I can use a vacuum to vacuum them out. So it's still a work in progress. It's kind of unorthodox, I guess you would say, as far as having to use it, but I can sit right here. I have the mouse up here. I can manipulate what I need to load, unload, and I have the machine sitting right here. So that's what this idiot has been doing for about the last week. I hope this gives somebody some ideas about how to actually set up an enclosure that might best suit their constraints as far as where they have to put it. It's a little bit longer than I wanted, but I actually kind of like it out here, so I have a tendency to leave the drawers open. They've got tools in it, and if I leave it open a little bit, chips, if the front is open, chips still won't be able to get into the drawers. So I like that. I've got some hard stops here. I had to make a bunch of aluminum T-nuts that would fit in here and thread. But these are actually here just so when I take the workpiece off or the spoil board off and I put another one on, I'm going to end up putting two back there. I can just slide it over till it registers all those, and I know it's in the exact same position this one was in. Other than that, that's my Chinese 6040 router in a nutshell, running off of a G540 Gecko drive, which I mounted inside the tan box that's back there with the e-stop button on it. So like I said, I hope this helps somebody, maybe give somebody some ideas as far as where they're going to put it and try and keep the mess down, because every time I would use this machine, it would create such a mess. And just to give you guys a sneak peek, I got sent something that I have to torture test. And it's that guy down there. It's a Festool CT15E dust extractor. So I'm going to be torture testing that here soon. It was purchased by a company for me to do this, to see if it will work with how they want to implement it in their use of their machine. So the review on that is going to be unbiased because it was purchased. It was given to me for free, but it was purchased so I can find any faults. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out, and this is another episode of What Is This Idiot Doing?